Welcome to the Hyperpolyglot Activist. Learn languages, make a difference, or should I say, acquire languages, make a difference. Now, what is the difference between learning and acquire? I have to thank Paulino Brenner, my friend and colleague, for drawing attention to this distinction, which is the topic of this video. Now, learning a language means becoming familiar with the structure and grammar of that language, whereas acquiring that language has to do with absorbing the language subconsciously. Now, I'll let Professor Krashin, who is often credited with this distinction, elaborate a little bit on this.
Acquisition and learning, I get the credit for both of these terms, but I didn't really invent them. Acquisition and learning was kind of an informal use. Wallace Lambert of Canada used it. Acquisition means picking up a language, subconsciously absorbing the language, having a feel for it. Learning means what we did in school, knowing the rules, being able to consciously remember what they are, talk about them, etc. And the big breakthrough is that they're different, and that acquisition is much more powerful than learning.
So there you go. Learning a language presupposes deploying the grammar method, which means explaining explicitly the structure of a language, whereas acquiring a language presupposes the immersion approach, which has to do with exposing the learner to a meaningful use of the language through actual use. And then there is a third method, which is the hybrid method. And the hybrid method is immersion and then explicit grammar teaching only of those grammatical aspects that the learner has come across through his or her meaningful use of the target language. And here I am reminded of something Richard Simcott, the famous polyglot, often says when he's asked, how many languages do you speak? He often says, well, I've studied X amount of languages, say for instance, 30 or 40 languages.
So, but do you know approximately how many, whenever people ask you how many do you speak, what is it now? What would you say?
I tend not to say too much. I say I've studied 50 or ish, maybe more, over the years, but not to the same level, to different levels, of course.
And that reminds me of this difference that I'm making between learning a language and acquiring a language. So it seems that when he is confronted with the question, how many languages do you speak, he resorts to telling us how many languages he's potentially learned, which is not to say that he has acquired those languages, which is probably a wise implication to make. Now think about this. How many languages have you learned? And how many languages have you actually acquired? If you think about the whole repertoire of languages that you speak, you'll begin to understand that distinction. Let me know what the answer is in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.